July 22nd at Champion Square, the concert event of the summer will take place. It's the Better Life 20th Anniversary Tour. 3 doors down with special guest Seether. Don't miss out on the Better Life in its entirety and all their greatest hits. Brought to you by ALT92.3. Gulf South Grown.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a message that I feel like resonates with a lot of creatives because they have felt that similar struggle coming up, and being able to see the opportunity in networking literally in front of you rather than just be all talk. Because how many times have you heard that?
Yes.
I got big ideas. I'm sure you do. What are you doing to make those things happen?
Isn't that what Kyle said about LA? Like, LA is like the land of big ideas with no structure.
Exactly.
It has no infrastructure to get there.
Well, except for the ones that already have it and the
Right,
gate
the
is
established
closed.
ones that are already making it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just another big reason why I haven't made a big move and why I love being in New Orleans is I'm learning, like, and I'm meeting people that are from LA, are still in LA, etc. And I've done more, you know, and it's like local here in New Orleans. People have got your back. They'll put you on projects, and like you can go sit out in LA and do nothing for years. And I don't get it. You know?
And everybody's like watching you like a hawk in a sec, and you're, you know, watching you like a hawk, you know, every second in your circle to see what you're doing, so they can one up you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine for a while,
Yeah.
because that helps you get to a upper echelon. But at some point, there has to be a point in the race where this is a community of us coming up together rather than it being
Why
a
can't we just
competition.
be stoked that my partner is doing something stellar?
Exactly.
Right.
What the fuck, people? Get it together, man. That's
Why-
a shit mindset.
Why you gotta
Yeah.
be talking shit about someone who's doing some really cool stuff because you're not?
Dude,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Fuck that.
Oh, are y'all on Clubhouse at all?
I recently got on Clubhouse.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, well, it's
Beautiful app.
Yeah, audio drop-in, but that's a lot of the conversation that's going on right now. Community
Yeah, Clubhouse
building.
got some really cool shit going on.
Yeah,
and
changing the rules.
it's like an open forum in specific what lane you want to be in,
Yeah.
and it helps build networking.
This is Grovon Mayer from the Dank Swamp Rebellion podcast, reminding you to stock up on your Elmer's CheeWees. Get you some of that. I'll tell you, the original's good now. The original's real good. I like me the barbecue one. I like the taco one. Bruh, I dip that in some ranch meat. They got the hot and spicy. They got the pizza. The pizza one's real good, man. And so is the green onion. And if you like a little something sweet after, get you some of that caramel popcorn. They ain't sleeping on that caramel popcorn. And remember, if it ain't Elmer, it ain't CheeWees. Elmer's quality snacks since 1946.
Oh, and don't forget about those seasonal flavors. This message was approved by Grovon Mayer.
Do you feel like you're more drawn to a certain genre?
Yes, definitely.
And what would that be?
Well, for what?
Like in movie making.
Yeah.
If you were going to write, direct, the whole nine, what's the genre that you would say that, or do you even have one?
I'm finding that I tend to stay under the umbrella of drama,
Okay.
but finding myself in different versions of that than I expected originally. So like, definitely I always knew, and this is like, I think hardcore who I'm going to be, or I'm working towards being as a writer, director, whatever, actress, anything, producer, is that character driven, raw genre, that story, that narrative, the character driven narrative. But I have accidentally almost found myself in a little bit of fantasy, some magical realism, thriller, horror, and a tiny bit of comedy.
I always get typecasted
Yeah.
in comedy, which is very strange for me because
We should put together a movie of coon-ass aliens. Like, they already come here, like, jamming Zydeco.
yeah. I just
They did
read
their
something
research.
today.
Thanks, T-Money.
Yeah, I just read something today where humans are expecting aliens, but what would happen if just like other humans showed up and was like, "Hey, we're from another planet. What's up?"
They would hate
We
it.
would be mind
We would
blown.
lose it.
It would be like meeting someone from up north.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's
Oh man,
That whole
That's not
Mason Dixon
always
thing.
true.
there's
But
so
yeah.
many parallels between comedy and drama, though, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird.
It's a fine line almost.
It is a fine line. It's
And-
not my niche, or it's not my like. I don't find myself naturally going there,
Gotcha.
but
What would you
Yeah.
say that what is it about drama that's you're drawn to naturally like that?
what you can expose about real life. I mean, and comedy does it too. It's just they does it differently.
Right.
And but the way that that you can use drama to expose pain, beauty, realness, speaks to me.
It's your artist's medium.
Yeah.
That's what they like.
You
to
can be
use.
a lot less crude in drama than you can be in comedy when it comes to pain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes drama might be more receptive to the viewer or the listener opposed to comedy because so many different people are offended by so many different types of comedy.
And well, yeah, and especially a lot more now lately. So which is super interesting.
right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Really big
Yeah.
battle that they're having to face.
Because you know what we hate is when people say that's offensive. Because if I hear someone say that, I automatically say, wait a minute, you can't say that. Because that means that's generalized saying everybody's offended. I'm not offended. You know, so just say, hey, I'm offended. And I'm cool with that. I can respect that.
And if you're offended, you're entitled to have that opinion all you
Yeah,
want
be
to.
offended,
Too.
bro. Take it to heart.
But there's a thing that I don't have to give a shit about that.
No.
That's where the cross-up's happening. If you're offended, you automatically think I have to care about it. That's where a lot of your parallels of... That's why there's so much anger going into this. Because
But what happened in between?
I'm
What happened
expecting
between
that.
like the 90s and now? Like, I feel like I forgot about everything in between and we're just here.
It's because you got exposed to so much in the early 2000s that was raw as fuck.
I miss TRL.
Think about how seriously think about how fucked up South Park was, and they
Yeah.
can continue being because they're South Park and they made that name. But
Right.
if something new were to come out like that, it would never work.
No, and
No.
It would
comedians
just be like
recognize
everything
that.
else. Yeah.
At least not right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're in an atmosphere where you have to really walk a fine line if you want to do something in comedy.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate because you're working with a stigma from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the reason why we're here now is because we were exposed to such raw, crazy, weird shit younger on.
Yeah.
And we naturally got to this point where it's like, oh, wait, I don't know how to feel anything anymore. So naturally, I am offended by everything.
It's interesting. I don't know. I think there's so much. I think there's a big failure to make distinctions when it comes to comedy.
There's so much generalizing.
There's so much generalizing, and it's. I mean, I don't want to comment too much on it, right? Because it's not even my field.
I
But like,
understand.
but it's. There's a very valid point in some of the things that some people will make about being offensive, and the reasons are good, but it doesn't necessarily translate to being correct in the comedy
open.
world.
Right. It's
Yeah.
open. It
But
doesn't.
also, I feel like in the comedy world, right? So I went to see Rodney Carrington at the IP Casino. I knew the comedian I was going to see. We walked out of that, and I was pleased because he was just what I wanted. Walked out that night. They had people complaining outside. He was this, and he was crude, and he said pussy lips. You went buy tickets to a motherfucker that you didn't check out first. That's
Yeah.
my problem. It's not.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I went to Vegas. You go to Tropicana, go into the Laugh Factory. It's random. You get
Right.
anybody. So
Right,
it's like
that's
boom,
different,
whatever.
yeah. But you're
But
also
when
you're also saying I'm okay with that if you're walking in and be like
I agree. To some
Yeah.
point, I do.
There's some
agree.
consent there.
Yeah,
No
I mean,
matter
unless
what.
somebody's
Well, and
gonna come at you with like death threats or something,
Right.
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
That's
Well, I think the
offensive.
other side of it is
Well, yeah, it
like,
is.
yeah, the other side of it is like comedy is there to expose the wrongs that are in our society, and so if you don't allow comedians to go there, You know, like how can we expose those things in our society if that kind of makes sense?
And how can
And
you
probably
think
butchered
memes
that,
are
but
okay, right?
It's censoring.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The meme is the crudest form of real comedy.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Well,
all a meme is.
And what's the line? What's the line?
There
too,
is
because
none.
it's really subjective. Exactly. And you know, it's also like another reason comedy exists is so that we can laugh about what hurts the most, because
Right.
that's part of
That's a healing
processing.
process.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it only belongs to a certain time and place. And you know, a comedy club is that time and place.
You would
Usually,
think. You would
know,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean,
You
I
would
can
think.
understand some of it is a little insane, and
If-
some people I think can come off as like giant dicks. You know,
Or
and
some
that's,
people just
that,
suck
like,
at that job.
Yeah, or just you
you know?
suck at the
Right,
job, and
yeah.
then like, so it makes more sense, you know, if you're coming off as offensive, but it's more your energy. It's more your energy and why you're saying something, or like, it's kind of clear where you're coming from,
Right.
Like with certain things, and then it's a little more like, okay, dude, or whoever.
Like if
Who
this
was
dude's
the guy on
Yeah.
Seinfeld that you remember the guy, what was the Kramer guy?
Yeah.
And look, if you go back and watch that video when he was like yelling all that racist hate shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that dude went on stage in the wrong frame of mind to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So normally you're not gonna have those situations unless the performer is in, you know, a weird state of mind or whatever. So
Yeah.
normally it's not gonna be super crazy, hate you in your face violence like that. Normally they're going to be more routine than what they do. They may have their beliefs and their political shit and religious shit and whatever it is, but they'll stick to that format, you know. But when you see the bigger comedians do that, or if a comedian's just feeling some type of way, you don't know what happened. Comedians live lives like everybody else, actors, actresses, the whole nine. It's the same thing when they get on set, right? You get on set and you got to be feeling it. You got to be able to turn it on and off. Your outside life's your outside life, and this is work, you know. So, and I think that's what it boils down to at the end of the day is to understand, am I going into this place even though I paid for this ticket in not a right frame of mind? Because I've done that too. I've gone to live music shows where I was not in the right frame of mind, and then I felt some type of way after I left, and I was like, well, shit, I knew I shouldn't have went,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
you know.
yeah.
So I just think people just need to be more mindful of that, you know. Like
It's a state of awareness, one, and two, knowing your surroundings is like a key component to the whole thing in the first place, because I feel like we live our lives so virtually now
Yeah.
that it's easier to displace if we're not in the right place, right?
Ooh, that's
So
good.
it feels like that's a natural progression of how things happen and why we ended up in a place we are now.
Yeah.
in some ways I miss analog, man. I do miss analog. You know, I miss the old Razor phones.
You would.
You
Yeah,
know,
I loved my Razor phone.
I miss VHS.
Oh.
I used to
I'm
pop
there
that
with
Ninja
you.
Turtles in there.
But you know what's funny? It's all gonna come around full circle because I worked at American Eagle. That was like one of my things. And like during the time that I worked there, they literally just went 60s, 70s, 80s, and I was like, we're literally just making some full circle. Nothing's new. You know what I mean?
They release new cassettes now. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
Yeah, you
Like,
can have a
here's your
new
cassette.
EP that you release on a cassette that you don't have a player for.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a thing. And the fact that it's a thing just tells me how hungry people are for real organic things.
Yeah.
Because everything's so heavily digitized. Think about it. This is why all your icons have recently changed to a very flat format in graphic design world.
Interesting.
The reason why is because they want to convey a sense of organicness, not too elaborate. None of your icons now are, think of the Firefox logo
Yeah.
from back in
Right.
the day. It was awesome. Now you look at a Firefox logo, it's literally just the indication of what it was to make
It's
you
flat.
feel at peace because it's so much more simple and you want to use it.
Do you
That's
think
true
we're
because I don't think some people didn't use Firefox just because of the way that logo looked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think we're going into like a new age?
Well, this has been an ongoing thing for the last 2 years where you've seen them. Everything on social media shows the same type of caricature of people that are just 100% like a blank sheet of paper. There is no defining qualities of this person when there's vector illustrations in graphic design for people. You look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram. Anytime they have people in those graphics, they all look the same. And that's so you feel like there's a sense of connection somehow with this because it's so simple and organic that it's just open.
I don't dig it.
I don't either.
I don't dig it, man.
It's a form of art style that was excellent that they adopted into this because of what we were going through, which is a drought of organic. And that's how you resonate and build on top of what you have. You have to change with the time.
I just feel like even now it's hard for me to like communicate over like direct messaging or Discord. I'd just rather be in a room with you, talking to you
All
about
day.
whatever. Like, let's have a coffee, you know,
Yeah.
have a
Same.
drink, whatever.
Yeah,
Our
definitely.
first talk between me and Rachel was over a web call, and I'm
Yes.
happy that that happened that way because I feel like I wouldn't be able to get across what I needed to in an email.
Yeah, ditto.
You know,
I'm literally talking to somebody today, and I'm like texting them and asking questions. I'm like, this conversation could be done in 5 minutes, and we also could connect as humans. But it's just like going on, and what is happening? I'm like, let's just phone call later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
it's
Yeah.
really not an obstacle unless someone is so accustomed to doing that format that they literally can't anymore. And being from the South, I feel like that comes with us, that we just want to be
That's true.
in each other's presence.
Yes.
Too, as much as we can whenever we want to have a real conversation. I know a lot of important things go down over email, and they have to. It's just a form. But whenever a genuine connection needs to happen, I feel like an in-person type scenario has to be some format. It has to. Because you got to
100%.
feel them out.
Yes.
You really do. You can't get that.
Well, it brings a different dynamic of trust, right? So if you meet someone and you automatically know, normally that gut feeling that you have is correct, right? So you that way you never really can tell a person's tone over any of that other stuff. And I'm afraid for the future of our younger kids, man, because in some ways I feel like the arts, where the core of the arts were, has kind of been
the natural expression of creation
has
and
gone
like
away
communication.
at some point,
Yeah.
man. You know?
Well, I can give you a positive point, and that is kind of, my side hustle, which I've already mentioned, is, I teach kids how to drive. They're stuck in the car with me for 2 to 4 hours. And
Oh, you got them.
I've got them. And I will say this, 99% of them can hold great conversation,
That's-
which I'm very surprised by,
That's
if I'm
good.
totally honest. Yeah, but I've had some fantastic talks with these kids, Yeah,
So they have a ground level, and
Right.
the fact that they're grown up in the age that we're like kind of questioning right now tells you a lot about their character too.
I
you
think
know?
they're hungry for it. They just don't know how to bring
Get
it
it.
into their culture.
They need
Yeah.
to channel that
Right.
and be able to grow from it, and that in itself could be the artistry.
That's super accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That is how they break
Or
out.
even sometimes even where to get started. I mean, when I was young, I know with my mental situations or whatever, even with music, I didn't know how to get to the starting point of anything, much less follow it through to fruition.
In the South, there's always a reason to drink beer. Now the Rebellion's giving you one more. Pickled Peppers Hop Shop. Homebrew kits delivered straight to your door.
The ceremony's about to begin.
Become a member of the 1 Million Brew Club today at pickledpeppershopshop.com. And don't forget to listen to Tyson and Tanner on their hit podcast, Pickled Peppers Hop Talk. Check out Pickled Peppers Hop Shop. Use promo code DSR Talks to get 20% off any brew kit. And don't forget to try the DSR Talks down the bayou, Magnolia Saison.
Pickles, peppers.
Well, then
Yeah.
you've got a generation of parents that helicopter in a different way.
What do you
and
mean?
it's that and they don't let their kids go have experiences, like to let them go do Battle of the Bands. You know what I mean?
or
like,
go play in the
Oh,
woods.
you
and
mean
go
like-
like there's just a lack of.
See, that's something I don't know about because my daughters are all grown, right? And they're kind of like going on in life. and they're all different, like, which I love. So like each one of them has different political views, different like it's awesome because it's insane because they're all just as nuts as me and my, it's crazy. But do you find that's the situation in life where people are kind of hoarding their kids and trying to keep them to a level of?
I mean, I don't think it's everyone, but I think there is
a large population.
And that has, we've heard delayed adolescence. I mean, it's delayed infancy at this point. I mean, I know. I don't want to get too specific. I know people, and I know with kids, and they're 10, 12 years old, they couldn't tie their shoes.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because mom does that. Mom or dad does that.
Well,
yeah.
and I will say this: there are a lot of kids that hop in the car and don't know anything about a vehicle.
Yeah, like their parents didn't show them anything.
Yeah, and you're like, you've been in a car your whole life, you don't even know what a brake is.
Right.
You don't know what that does.
And they don't ask.
They
don't ask either.
Yeah, that's true.
The kids don't ask. Or if they ask you, they want an immediate answer that they don't have to think about.
That's not surprising because of this auto
thing.
setup where I click something and it happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't need to ask it anything.
Right.
That's part of it.
Instant gratification.
And think of it too, the parents are also living in the same world as these kids.
Yeah.
Right.
With the technology that they weren't born into but have surrounded their life with.
Yeah.
That they're giving this kid an iPad from day one, and they literally, here you go, entertain yourself. And I'm not, that's just how that works.
I don't want to go too into my driving and stuff like that, but one of the things I talk about when I go over texting or driving with them is, I mention to them, I say, what is the first thing that your parents are going to tell you if you tell them to put down their phone when they're texting? And that is, most parents will be like, be quiet, I've had enough driving experience, you don't know what you're talking about. Right? But at its core, texting and driving is still dangerous, right? And so we're subconsciously telling these students at some point it's going to be okay for you to text and drive. And I think that's running rampant within a lot of evils within society that we just simply don't know about yet because of the mental things that happen.
It's with everything, man, because it was like that on the bayou growing up. Everybody in my family would sit around drinking beer, getting drunk, smoking weed, cussing, listening to rock music. I had to sit there listening to nothing but Christian music, being a Christian rock band, forced to go to church. All right? Told that everything out in the world's secular and I'm not supposed to love any of it, even though I did, right? And then it's like, well, you're all hypocrites. Well, do as I say, not as I do, all right? And then I get older and it's like, man, I really like drinking, then I really like smoking weed. Well, it wasn't your time. Well, how do you know?
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that it's right or it's wrong for a kid to feel that way either, because trust me, I didn't want my 13-year-old smoking weed and drinking and all that shit. I'm saying there comes a time of maturity, but everybody matures differently. Because like you say, there's this delayed infancy now to where you have 30-year-olds, that are still living home with mom and can't function. What happens when that parent passes away of some freak thing? That kid can't just go out into the wilderness and survive. You can't let him loose like a wolf.
If I learned all my life lessons from YouTube, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a serious problem.
Yeah.
And
it's not everybody, right? It's
no,
everybody,
it's not. It's really not.
But
it is rampant.
It's a thing.
It's part of the culture. Yeah.
It's definitely.
But it's something that should be at least, people should at least be aware of it.
Well, you did say that everything is cyclical in fashion, one, and two, how this is all playing out too, because the next step is the rebirth. Right now, we're literally in the ashes.
Right.
I don't think we're in the ashes yet.
You don't think so?
No, I think we're gonna burn down even further.
Whoa.
We're in the ashes stage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to predict anything because I have no clue.
The zombie apocalypse.
The century of that stuff.
Yeah.
And these kids now are actually going to be part of the rebirth part of it, which says a lot because we helped as adults now facilitate that type of energy.
Thank you for listening to the Dank Swamp Rebellion. Tune in Saturday for part 4 with Rachel Jacob and Jeremy Dean. And don't forget to check us out on social media.